Ladies and gentlemen, today I stand before you to speak about something profound, something that is already taking shape in the unseen, and will soon make its presence known. Something is stirring in the air, in the hearts of people, and in the world itself. The winds of change are upon us, and everything, yes, everything is about to change. We live in a time where the old ways no longer seem to hold the same power they once did. The systems that have governed our lives, our economies, our societies, they are shaking, perhaps more than we realize. We are witnessing an unraveling of familiar structures. The question is, what will rise in their place? History teaches us that change does not arrive with a gentle whisper. It comes like a wave, strong, sudden, and often uncontrollable. Just look at the course of human events. It was not always expected. The rise of empires, the fall of kingdoms, the coming of revolutions, all were sudden and all were filled with a sense of disruption. But through those disruptions came new paths, new opportunities, and most importantly, a new understanding of what is truly possible. We are standing on the precipice of such a moment, and yet I must ask you, are we ready? Do we understand the magnitude of this moment? The scriptures have long warned of a time when everything would shift, when the earth itself would tremble under the weight of what was to come. And I tell you that time is now, but it is not a time to fear, for in the very change we face lies the seed of something greater. Change, though it may be disruptive, is also a call to awaken, to realign, to embrace a new purpose. When the world around us seems to be crumbling, that is the very moment when we must find our foundation, not in the shifting sands of materialism or fleeting power, but in something eternal, something unshakable. Look around you. What do you see? You see people seeking something more than the world has been able to offer. They are hungry for truth, for justice, for peace, for meaning. And they will not rest until they find it. You see institutions that have long held power crumbling under the weight of their own corruption, while new voices rise challenging the old order, demanding a new way forward. This is the time. We are in a time when we must ask ourselves, what is our role in this great change? What are we called to do in this hour? It is not enough to stand by and watch as history unfolds. We must be part of the unfolding story. We must decide whether we will be swept along with the current or whether we will stand firm in the truth, knowing that the changes are coming regardless of our participation. But do not fear, for the change will bring forth a new dawn. A dawn where the weak are made strong, where the humble are exalted, and where the truth is revealed for all to see, though the road may be difficult. It is a road that leads to freedom, though the darkness may seem overwhelming. It is but the shadow before the light. In the days ahead, the world will change in ways we cannot fully comprehend, but if we remain steadfast, if we remain rooted in the truth that has never wavered, we will not only survive this change, we will thrive in it, and we will emerge stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the challenges to come. Change is inevitable and imminent. This statement holds true in every era, but it feels especially urgent now as we stand at the crossroads of a transformative time in human history. Across every corner of the globe, we are witnessing an undeniable shift, a sense of things moving and changing beyond our control, yet very much within our grasp. If we dare to face them head-on, the pace of change, its intensity, and the impact it has on our lives, both individually and collectively, are staggering. What we once considered permanent is now uncertain, and what we took for granted is rapidly evolving or disappearing altogether. The inevitability of change is a principle deeply embedded in the fabric of existence itself. Nothing in this world stays the same for long. Nature demonstrates it through the changing of seasons, the cycle of birth and death, the constant flux of ecosystems. Time moves forward, and so too does everything that exists within it. Even the most enduring empires and civilizations have succumbed to the force of time, gradually giving way to the rise of new powers, new ideas, and new ways of life. It is not a question of if change will happen, but when and how it will unfold. The inevitability of change is the backdrop of history, and we are living in the midst of its next chapter. What is more striking, however, is the sense that change is not only inevitable, but imminent. This is not a distant, abstract concept that we can prepare for in the far-off future. It is unfolding now. The pace of transformation is accelerating. Technological advancements, societal shifts, environmental changes, and geopolitical upheavals are all converging at a speed that seems almost impossible to keep up with. It can feel as if the world is spinning faster, and we as individuals are struggling to find our footing. The industries we've known For generations are being appended, the institutions we've trusted are being challenged, and the way we think about our roles in the world is evolving rapidly for those who are deeply entrenched in the systems and structures of the past. This change can be disorienting, it can provoke fear, anxiety, and resistance. Change often forces us to let go of the comfort of the known, to relinquish what feels safe and familiar, and face the uncertainties of what lies ahead. But the truth remains: change is coming, whether we embrace it or resist it. It is already at our door, knocking, waiting for us to answer. Yet in many ways this change is not just something that is happening to us from the outside. It is a force that is rising from within. We are being changed not just by external forces, but also by our own shifting attitudes, beliefs, and values. As individuals, as communities, as societies, we are redefining what matters, what we stand for, and how we want to live. This internal revolution, alongside the external changes, creates a dynamic environment where what was once stable and predictable is now in constant flux. The question is not whether change will come, it already is, but how we will respond to it. The moment of truth lies in how we engage with the forces that are reshaping our world. Will we resist clinging to outdated ways of thinking and living? Or will we step forward with courage, ready to adapt, innovate, and transform? The inevitability of change does not guarantee that we'll embrace it with wisdom and grace. It simply assures us that change will not wait for us to be ready. It will unfold regardless of our preferences, whether we're prepared or not. We have to accept that change is no longer a gradual, linear process. It is rapid, unpredictable, and at times overwhelming. The world around us is evolving faster than ever, and each day brings a new set of challenges, opportunities, and disruptions, from the rise of artificial intelligence to the reshaping of global economies, from shifting cultural norms to climate change. The forces at play are vast and interconnected. There is no longer any space to remain passive observers of this unfolding transformation. We are active participants in this process, whether we acknowledge it or not. Our choices, actions, and attitudes will determine how we navigate this shifting terrain. In many ways, the very foundation of our lives is being rewritten. The future we once imagined no longer exists in the same form. What we thought was certain has been replaced with a new reality that is still emerging, and we must decide how to interact with it. The inevitability of change forces us to confront uncomfortable truths, to reevaluate the assumptions we've held dear, and to ask ourselves difficult questions about what the future will look like. At the same time, this moment of rapid change offers an extraordinary opportunity. It is an opportunity to reshape our world, to redefine what success means, and to create something that is more inclusive, more just, and more sustainable. The question is not whether change will come, it is how we will respond when it does. Will we resist, or will we step forward, embracing the unknown with courage and vision? Change is inevitable, and its arrival is imminent. The only question left is whether we will rise to meet it or be swept along in its wake. Old systems are crumbling, new ones are emerging. This is an observation that is evident across the globe and is a fundamental part of the shift we are experiencing in the world. Today, we are watching the dismantling of long-established institutions, structures, and tradition that have shaped the way societies function for generations. What we once believed to be unshakable pillars of society are increasingly being questioned, deconstructed, and redefined, and in their place, new forms of organization, new models of thinking, and new paradigms for living are beginning to take shape. It is difficult to ignore the signs of this collapse across industries. Technology is replacing old methods of production and communication. The financial systems that once seemed invulnerable are being exposed as fragile, subject to fluctuations that seem to defy conventional understanding. Political systems in many parts of the world are struggling under the weight of increasing polarization, disillusionment, and a growing sense of mistrust among the populace. Social institutions, once the bedrock of communities, are losing their relevance as new, more fluid forms of connection take root. What we once thought to be stable and permanent is now shifting in front of our eyes. This crumbling of old systems does not only apply to the physical or structural realms, it extends into the cultural, moral, and spiritual aspects of our societies as well. Values that were once held as absolute truths are now being questioned, challenged, and reinterpreted. The assumptions that govern our understanding of human relationships, identity, and purpose are undergoing a transformation, the very fabric of society, from the family unit to the way we engage with the world at large, is being rewoven, and yet with this unraveling of the old order, there is something undeniably powerful emerging in the void left by these crumbling systems. New ideas and innovations are rising to take their place. They are still in their infancy, perhaps not fully realized or understood, but their presence is undeniable. The world is shifting toward a more interconnected, globalized, and rapidly evolving state. New technologies, particularly in the fields of artificial intelligence, communication, and energy, are providing the tools and frameworks for this new reality. These emerging technologies hold the promise of transforming every aspect of life, from healthcare to education, from transportation to entertainment. The future, though uncertain, is beginning to reveal itself, and it is built upon foundations that are still being laid. But it is not just technology that is reshaping. The world's social movements, too, are playing a central role in this transformation. The rise of movements that challenge old systems of power, where they focus on racial justice, environmental sustainability, gender equality, or economic equity, are forcing societies to confront long-standing inequality and injustices. These movements are creating spaces for new ways of thinking and acting, pushing for policies and practices that align more closely with values of fairness, inclusivity, and compassion. The old ways of organizing power and wealth are being challenged, and in their place we see the birth of new models that emphasize cooperation over competition, sustainability over exploitation, and equity over privilege. This transition from old systems to new ones is not without its challenges. The process is messy, often uncomfortable, and filled with resistance from those who are deeply invested in maintaining the status quo. Change is rarely a smooth process. It is often met with reluctance, fear, and even outright opposition. The crumbling of old systems can feel like chaos as the familiar structures that once provided security and certainty give way to the unknown. The old guard fights to preserve their power, and those who benefit from the existing order often resist the new ways that are emerging. But this resistance, though natural, is part of the process. Change is uncomfortable. It forces us to let go what we know and venture into uncharted territory. In this moment of transition, it is crucial that we understand the significance of what is happening. The dismantling of old systems is not simply an unfortunate byproduct of progress. It is a necessary part of the creative destruction that accompanies every great shift in history. The old must be torn down to make way for the new. This is not a time to climb to the past out of fear or nostalgia. This is a time to embrace the potential that lies in the transformation. For while the old systems are crumbling, the new ones that are emerging offer a chance to build something more just, more sustainable, and more aligned with the needs and values of the present. The world is not simply waiting for these new systems to emerge. We are actively creating them. The technologies, movements, and ideas that are rising are the product of our collective efforts, our desires to improve the world and make it more reflective of our shared humanity. But the full realization of these new systems will require our active participation. It is not enough to sit back and hope that change will come. We must be engaged in the process, helping to shape the world that will replace the old systems that have failed us. As the old structures continue to crumble, we must remain vigilant and open to the possibilities that are unfolding before us. The future is not predetermined, and it is being written in real time by the choices we make today. The task before us is to decide what kind of world we want to build from the ashes of the old. It is up to each of us to contribute to the creation of systems that reflect the values of justice, equity, and sustainability, and to work together to bring them to life. History teaches us that disruption leads to transformation. If we look back on the course of human civilization, we see that every significant change, every leap forward in society, culture, or technology has been preceded by a period of evil. It is in these moments of disruption, of breaking down the old ways of doing things, that new ideas, new structures, and new possibilities emerge. The disruptions of the past have not been easy. They have often been marked by conflict, uncertainty, and resistance, yet through them humanity has been forced to evolve, adapt, and create new ways of being. Consider the great revolutions of history. The Industrial Revolution, for example. Before it, the world was largely agrarian, with economies based small on scale farming and handcraft production, the vast majority of people lived in rural settings and society was organized around a system that had existed for centuries. Then came the technological advancements that powered the Industrial Revolution, the steam engine, the spinning jenny, the mechanized loom. These innovations disrupted the existing economic and social order, entire industries were upended, and countless jobs were lost as machines replaced human labor. The shift was jarring. It created enormous inequality, fueled urbanization, and introduced new forms of exploitation, yet it also ushered in unprecedented growth, wealth, and progress. It changed the way people lived, worked, and thought about the world. In the end, the disruption led to transformation, an industrialized society that laid the foundation for the modern world. We know today, similarly, the political upheavals that have punctuated history, such as the French Revolution or the American Revolution, disrupted old systems of monarchy and aristocracy, but in doing so they gave birth to new political ideologies centered on democracy, equality, and individual rights. These revolutions were not peaceful, they were born from the oppression, suffering, and frustration of the people who had been left behind by the established systems. The result, however, was the formation of new political structures that would reshape the world. What followed these turbulent times was not only new political systems, but also a new way of thinking about human rights, liberty, and the role of government. Even more recently, in the 20th century, we saw the disruption brought about by the collapse of colonial empires and the subsequent rise of new nations and ideologies. The end of colonial rule in Africa, Asia, and Latin America brought profound shifts in global order. The former colonies fought to establish their own identities, and the old world powers found themselves having to rethink their relationships with the newly independent nations. These shifts were not without their challenges. Conflict, economic instability, and power struggles were widespread, but they also led to new forms of global cooperation as well as new movements for self-determination and national sovereignty. In our own time, we see the same pattern emerging. The world is in a state of constant disruption. Political systems are being questioned, economies are being reshaped by technological innovation, and social norms are being challenged by new generations with different values and priorities. We are witnessing the rise of social movements calling for justice, equality, and environmental sustainability, as well as a technological revolution that is changing how we work, communicate, and live. The digital age has introduced us to a world where information flows instantaneously, and new technologies seem to emerge at a rapid pace. The world is becoming more interconnected, and the speed of change is accelerating, creating a constant state of disruption. At the heart of this disruption lies an important truth. It is precisely because things are being disrupted that they have the potential to transform. Disruption is not the enemy of progress, it is the catalyst for it. Without disruption, there can be no transformation. The status quo, no matter how well established or deeply rooted, can only take us so far. To move forward, we must be willing to tear down old systems, confront outdated assumptions, and make room for new ways of thinking and acting. The disruptions we are experiencing today, whether through technological advancements, shifting political dynamics, or social movements, are forcing us to reimagine what is possible. This disruption, however, is not always easy to embrace. It can be uncomfortable. It can bring fear and uncertainty. It challenges the familiar, and it demands that we let go of the past. But it is in this very discomfort that transformation happens. Every significant change in history has been met with resistance, but it is through overcoming that resistance that humanity has moved forward. The discomfort of disruption forces us to ask difficult questions and reconsider old assumptions. It pushes us to innovate, to adapt, and to find better solutions to the challenges we face. We must remember that transformation does not happen in a vacuum. It is the result of collective effort, the willingness of individuals and societies to engage with the changes happening around them. It is the result of people standing up and saying, "We are not satisfied with the way things are. We believe that a better future is possible, and we are willing to fight for it," whether that change comes in the form of a technological break, through a social movement, or a political revolution. It is driven by people who are unafraid to disrupt the status quo in the pursuit of something better. Ultimately, the disruptions we are experiencing today, much like those in the past, hold the potential to transform our world in profound ways. They may not always be easy to navigate, but they are a necessary part of the process. Through disruption, we can rebuild, reimagine, and renew. It is in the aftermath of disruption that the seeds of a new future are sown. And though the path may not always be clear, the opportunity for transformation is undeniable. The world is hungry for truth, justice, and meaning. These core desires have always been a driving force in human history, but they feel particularly urgent today across the globe. We are witnessing an increasing sense of dissatisfaction with the systems, ideologies, and structures that have long governed our society's people, are searching for something deeper, something that resonates with their inner sense of right and wrong, something that provides purpose and direction in a world that can often feel chaotic and disconnected. It is as if there is a collective awakening, a desire to move beyond superficial answers and confront the deeper, more profound questions of existence. The quest for truth, justice, and meaning is not merely an intellectual pursuit, but a deeply emotional and spiritual one that transcends borders, cultures, and histories. In many parts of the world, traditional sources of authority and truth, whether they be religious institutions, political systems, or established cultural norms, are being increasingly questioned, and in some cases outright rejected. There is a growing sense that the institutions once seen as infallible have become corrupted, outdated, or disconnected from the needs and desires of the people they are meant to serve. People are no longer content to accept answers handed down by those in power without questioning them. They are searching for something more authentic, more grounded in their lived experiences and collective values. This shift is not simply about rejecting the old ways, but about seeking a deeper understanding of truth that reflects the complexity and diversity of human experience. The hunger for justice is similarly palpable. People around the world are rising up to demand fairness, equality, and the protection of their rights, whether it is movements for racial justice, gender equality, environmental sustainability, or economic equity. The call for justice is a global one. It is a cry for the correction of systemic injustices that have long plagued societies. For too long, the voices of marginalized groups have been ignored, their rights trampled upon, and their struggles dismissed as unimportant. But now people are standing up, demanding recognition and a fairer share of society's resources, opportunities, and protections. The fight for justice is not just about correcting wrongs of the past. It is about ensuring that the future is more just and equitable for all. In this age of rapid change and disruption, there is also a growing search for meaning. The old structures that once provided individuals with clear roles, identities, and purposes are fading, and many are finding themselves adrift as traditional career paths, family structures, and community ties become less certain or more fragmented. People are searching for new sources of meaning in a world that is more interconnected than ever before, but also more fragmented in many ways. It can be difficult to navigate the overwhelming complexity of modern life. People are searching for answers to the big questions. What is the purpose of my life? What is my role in the world? How do I find fulfillment? What am I supposed to contribute to the world around me? This hunger for meaning manifests in a variety of ways. For some, it takes the form of spiritual exploration, seeking deeper connections with a higher power, or with the mysteries of the universe. For others, it might be a pursuit of personal development or the search for a cause or mission that gives their lives greater purpose. Still, others may find meaning in community, in relationships, or in the work they do, striving to create something of value that benefits others. The search for meaning is an intensely personal journey, but it is also a collective one as people seek to create a more meaningful world for everyone. The desire for truth, justice, and meaning is not just a response to the failings of the old systems, but a reflection of a deep yearning for a better, more compassionate world. People are seeking a future that is more than just the sum of economic transactions, more than just the accumulation of wealth or power. They are yearning for a world where their lives are connected to something greater than themselves, where truth is not distorted by agendas, where justice is not a privilege for the few but a right for all, and where meaning is found not in superficial achievements, but in relationships, purpose, and a sense of belonging. This hunger for truth, justice, and meaning is not confined to any one group or region. It transcends cultural, political, and geographical boundaries. It is a shared human desire to make sense of the world, to right the wrongs of the past, and to build a future that is more aligned with the core values of dignity, respect, and compassion. The movements and voices we see today are a reflection of this collective yearning for something more, something better. As the world continues to change, these desires will only become more pressing. People will continue to demand that the systems in place not only deliver material goods, but also nurture the soul, foster fairness, and create opportunities for personal growth and connection. The hunger for truth, justice, and meaning will continue to shape the direction of our societies, and it will serve as a powerful force for change in the years to come. The challenge before us is not only to meet these desires, but to recognize their depth and complexity, and to find ways to address them in meaningful and sustainable ways. The world is calling out for a new vision, one that offers more than mere survival, but a life worth living for everyone. We must actively participate in shaping the future. This idea is not just a passive suggestion, but a call to action, one that demands the involvement of each individual in the process of creating the world we want to live in. The future is not something that simply happens to us, nor is it something we can wait for and expect to arrive fully formed. It is something we must collectively create from the choices we make today, the values we uphold, and the actions we take in present moment. Every decision, every step, no matter how small it may seem, plays a role in shaping the trajectory of the world to come. The concept of actively participating in shaping the future can seem daunting, especially in a world that often feels so large, complex, and out of control. With global issues like climate change, political instability, economic inequality, and social unrest, it can sometimes feel as though individuals are powerless in the face of such immense challenges. However, history has repeatedly shown us that change begins with individuals who are willing to stand up, speak out, and take action. Every significant shift in human history, from the abolition of slavery to the civil rights movement, from the rise of environmental activism to the development of new technologies, has been driven by people who dared to act, to question the status quo, and to work towards something better. The future is shaped not only by grand sweeping movements, but also by the collective efforts of countless individuals who are working toward a common goal, each contributing in their own way, whether it's in small communities, within families, or on a global scale. The power to shape the future lies in our hands. The choices we make, whether in the products we buy, the leaders we support, or the causes we champion, are all pieces of the puzzle that determine the direction in which we head. One of the most powerful ways we can shape the future is by embracing the responsibility we have to the generations that will come after us. The decisions we make today will have lasting consequences. If we neglect the environment, ignore social injustices, or fail to foster education and understanding, we are not only compromising the present, but undermining the future as well. By prioritizing sustainability, equity, and innovation, we ensure that the future is one where all people can thrive, not just survive. But to do this, we must acknowledge our interconnectedness and recognize that the choices we make ripple out, affecting the broader world in ways we may not immediately see. Shaping the future also requires a shift in mind, and a recognition that we are not passive recipients of change, but active agents within it. We must approach the future with a sense of possibility, of belief in the power of collective action. While the challenges we face may seem overwhelming, they also present extraordinary opportunities for transformation. The technological advances we are witnessing today, for instance, have the potential to revolutionize nearly every aspect of our lives, from health care to communication, from education to the way we work. But these advancements are not inevitable. It is up to us to ensure that the technology we create serves humanity and addresses the needs of the many, not just the few. Similarly, the social and cultural changes we are experiencing demand active participation. As societies become more diverse and interconnected, it is essential that we create spaces where all voices are heard, where respect for difference is the norm, and where equality is not just an ideal, but a reality. This involves engaging in difficult conversations, confronting our own biases and prejudices, and working to build systems that are truly inclusive. Shaping the future means creating communities and societies that prioritize compassion, fairness, and mutual respect. Another key aspect of actively shaping the future is engaging with the political process, while many people feel disillusioned with politics and governance. The truth is that political decisions are among the most powerful tools for shaping the future. The policies that governments implement, the laws that are passed, and the priorities that are set can have profound effects on everything from climate change to social justice to economic prosperity. If we do not engage, if we do not vote, if we do not hold leaders accountable, then we leave the future in the hands of those who may not have the same vision for a just and equitable world. Political engagement is not only a right, but a responsibility to ensure that the future we build reflects the values we want to see in the world. To actively participate in shaping the future, we must also cultivate a sense of hope and possibility. It is easy to become discouraged when faced with the enormity of the challenges before us, but history is full of examples of individuals and groups who, against all odds, brought about lasting change. The future is not something to fear, but something to embrace with optimism and a clear sense of purpose. Each of us has the capacity to make a difference, to influence those around us, and to contribute to the larger vision of a better world. The key to shaping the future lies not in waiting for others to take the lead, but in taking ownership of the role we each play. Every action, every conversation, every choice is part of the mosaic that will create the future. The future is not something set in stone. It is a living, evolving reality that we must actively shape with our actions, values, and dreams. By engaging with the world in meaningful ways, by standing for what we believe in, and by committing to work toward the common good, we can ensure that the future is one that reflects our highest aspirations for humanity. We are not bystanders in this process. We are the creators of the world that is yet to come. We are witnessing the end of an era. The old structures and systems that once seemed unshakable are beginning to crumble, and a new world is emerging in their place. The way we work, interact, and even think about our roles in society is undergoing a profound transformation. It is as though the fabric of reality itself is being rewoven, and we are standing at the precipice of something entirely new. What we have known, what we have relied upon, is no longer stable. And while this may seem unsettling, it also holds the potential for something incredible, an opportunity for reinvention, a chance to build something that more accurately reflects the world we live in today. The old systems that are falling away were once the foundation of modern life. They were built over decades, even centuries, and provided stability and security. Whether it was the political systems that governed nations, the economic models that dictated wealth distribution, or the social norms that shaped how we interacted with one another, these systems defined much of our lives. But over time the cracks have appeared. The inequalities, inefficiencies, and injustices that these systems created have become too glaring to ignore. Rapid pace of technological advancement, shifting social values, and a globalized world of all expose the limitations of the old order. As a result, the systems that once governed our lives are being questioned, dismantled, and replaced by new, more dynamic models that better align with the needs of 21st century. The collapse of these old structures is not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it is essential for progress. In order to build something better, the old must make way for the new. Just as the natural world is constantly in a state of flux, seasons change, landscapes evolve, ecosystems adapt. Societies too must undergo periodic transformations. If we cling too tightly to the past, we risk stagnation. The world is changing, and we must change with it. This is not a time for fear or resistance. It is a time for embracing the inevitable evolution that is unfolding before our eyes. What we are seeing now is the beginning of a new era. This era is characterized by a world that is more interconnected, more fluid, and more rapidly changing than ever before. Technology, particularly digital technology, is transforming every aspect of life. Communication, commerce, education, and even human connection are being reshaped by the innovations of the digital age. The way we work is also undergoing a transformation. The traditional 9-to-5 job is no longer the only model. Remote work, freelancing, and gig economies are challenging long-held notions of employment and success. This shift is creating new opportunities for people to define their own careers and lifestyles, but it is also presenting new challenges. The nature of work is becoming more unpredictable, and the need for adaptability and lifelong learning is more important than ever. In addition to technological changes, we are also seeing a shift in the way we think about identity, culture, and community. The old norms that once dictated our roles in society, our gender roles, family structures, and even our national identities are being questioned and redefined. People are no longer content to live according to a set of predefined expectations. They are seeking authenticity, diversity, and a deeper sense of connection with others in a world that feels increasingly fragmented. People are searching for new ways to come together and build communities that reflect their values and experiences. Social movements advocating for racial justice, gender equality, LGBTQ+ rights, and environmental sustainability are pushing the boundaries of what it means to live in a just and inclusive society. As these old structures crumble, the question becomes what will replace them. The future is not yet written. We are in a period of transition, a time of experimentation and exploration. New ideas are emerging, new systems are being developed, and new possibilities are being imagined. These new systems are likely to be more decentralized, more democratic, and more fluid than the rigid structures of the past. The digital revolution has already begun to decentralize power, allowing individuals to connect, collaborate, and create in ways that were once unimaginable. Social media, crowdfunding, and online activism have given rise to movements that bypass traditional power structures, empowering people to take control of their own destinies. The future of governance, economics, and society may be more participatory and inclusive, with people from all walks of life having a direct hand in shaping the world around them. However, this new world will not come without its challenges. As the old systems crumble, there will inevitably be periods of instability, confusion, and resistance. Those who benefit from the old order will fight to preserve their power, and those who are left behind by the changes will feel a sense of loss and alienation. But these challenges are not insurmountable. They are a natural part of the process of transformation. Just as a forest must burn to make way for new growth, the old structures must give way to new ones. It is not easy, but it is necessary. The key to navigating this transformation is to approach it with a sense of openness, creativity, and resilience. We must be willing to let go of outdated ways of thinking and embrace the unknown. We must be prepared to adapt, to experiment, and to fail along the way. The future is not something that will be handed to us. It is something we must create together. It is a world where the old ways of thinking are no longer sufficient, and the new ways are still in the process of being discovered. As the old world crumbles, the question we must ask ourselves is, what kind of world do we want to build in its place? This is not a time for complacency or for holding on to the past. It is a time for boldness, for vision, and for action. Future is ours to shape, and it is up to each of us to contribute to the creation of a world that reflects the values of justice, equality, sustainability, and human connection. The old systems are crumbling, but in their place, something new is waiting to emerge, a world that is more aligned with the needs and aspirations of the people who live in it. So I urge you, do not be dismayed by the chaos you see. Do not be afraid of the unknown. Embrace the change, for it is not something to fear. It is something to welcome, something to prepare for, and something to rise to. The time is now. Everything is about to change. Thank you.